Welcome back, friends. Today, we're cooking geese in the mountains with honey, fruit, and open fire, the way Ukrainian families have done it for generations. If you love simple fire cooking and real Ukrainian family recipes like this, subscribe and stay with us. Here we don't just cook. We remember, we share, and we keep traditions alive. The fire is finally steady. In the village, they say you don't cook over flames, you cook over heat. So while the wood settles into glowing embers, we go for water, because real cooking always starts with a walk to the well. Carrying water from a well is slower than turning on a tap, but that's the point. In Ukrainian homes, wells were the heart of the yard. You'd meet neighbors there, exchange news, sometimes even arrange weddings. Well, here we are, my husband and I, plucking the geese by hand. Feathers everywhere, a bit of chaos, but this is how it was done in Ukrainian villages for centuries. Before any celebration, there was always work. Almost every household used to keep geese. They were hardy birds, perfect for village life, and usually saved for big family holidays, especially Christmas. A goose on the table meant abundance and pride. Plucking was rarely done alone. Women gathered in one yard, sitting close on small stools, talking about life, children, harvest. Nothing was wasted. The soft down was carefully saved for pillows and thick winter blankets. One goose could feed the family and keep them warm through the cold months. Now we pour boiling water over the geese. Not too long, just enough to loosen the stubborn feathers that hold on like they belong there. In the old days, this was the careful part. Too little heat and you struggle. Too much and the skin tears. After that, we go back in with our hands and finish the last bits, slowly, patiently. My grandmother used to say, "The final feathers test your character." A clean bird meant respect for the meal and for everyone who would sit at the table. Now my husband hangs the geese on the tree branch, just for a little while, to let it air dry. In the village, they always said, the bird needs a moment to breathe before the fire. It's time to singe the geese with fire. My husband grabs the lighter, carefully moving the flame across the skin. It's a step that might look strange to city cooks, but it's key for that golden, slightly smoky finish. Searing the goose removes the tiny leftover feathers and down that washing alone can't reach. It also gives the skin a caramelized touch even before the honey glaze, making every bite crispier. Now I'm rinsing the geese one more time. This final wash has to remove any tiny charred bits from the singeing and make sure the skin is perfectly ready for seasoning. If you're enjoying this journey into traditional Ukrainian cooking, don't forget to subscribe. Join us for more family recipes, mountain fire cooking, and little traditions that make every meal unforgettable. Let's prepare the sauce to brush over the geese. We're using fresh lemon juice, honey, and a mix of spices. Simple, but it cuts through the richness of the meat and adds a bright, lively flavor that makes every bite feel lighter. Traditionally, spices were added to preserve the meat a little longer and to highlight the natural sweetness of the fat. In Ukraine, using citrus and spices on geese became popular in the 18th century when trade brought exotic flavors to villages. All right, now we're brushing the geese with our sauce. You want to coat every inch, but gently. Don't tear the skin. In the villages, they always said that how you treat the bird now shows in the final roast. My tip: use your hands as much as the brush. Feeling the skin while spreading the sauce helps you know if it's ready. Now let's go gather some quince. It's a wonderful addition to the goose. In Ukrainian tradition, fruits like quince were used not just for flavor, but to balance the richness of the meat. And of course, apples. Sweet, slightly tart, perfect with roasted goose. Families would often combine apples and quince in the stuffing or alongside the bird, creating that comforting, homey flavor that always makes everyone come back for seconds. I'm slicing the quince and apples, letting them soak in the sauce so they absorb all the lemon and spice. This step is key. It turns the fruit into little pockets of flavor that will mingle with the meat while roasting. I'll stuff these soaked fruits inside the goose. In Ukrainian villages, it was common to add apples, quince, or even cabbage to the cavity. It wasn't just about taste. The fruit kept the meat juicy and fragrant, especially during long winter feasts. Historically, roasting a goose with fruits or vegetables inside goes back centuries across Europe. Royal families in Poland and Hungary served similar dishes during holiday banquets. They wanted the bird to look impressive and smell irresistible when brought to the table. In some royal courts, the chef would even carve secret compartments inside the goose to hide fruits or small nuts, a way to surprise the guests mid-meal. I love imagining that little playful tradition while we do the same in our garden. My husband is now preparing the fire for the goose. He carefully arranges the embers so the bird will cook slowly, getting that perfect golden skin and smoky aroma that no oven can replicate. Getting back to the geese, in Ukraine, villages made this dish for major family gatherings, Christmas, weddings, or the end of harvest. The stuffing often told a story: apples from the garden, herbs from the windowsill, quince from the neighbor's tree. Oh, listen to that sizzle. The geese are starting to crisp, and the smell, just imagine it. Caramelized fruit and that smoky mountain air, all wrapped into one irresistible aroma. Now, I'm quickly chopping up the leftover pieces from the goose to boil them. Nothing goes to waste. In Ukrainian kitchens, even the smallest scraps get transformed into soups or broths, carrying the flavor of the feast into another meal. While the broth is cooking, I'll do some sewing. I really love this. It's quiet, meditative, and somehow it feels like the perfect companion to the smells and warmth of the kitchen. Look at this beauty. I just finished sewing. And by the way, don't forget to subscribe. There's more cooking, crafting, and little traditions coming your way. Well, the geese are almost ready. Just look at them. Golden, crispy, and glistening with that honey glaze. I'm chopping onions and red cabbage now to fry together with the leftover goose pieces. Mixing these flavors gives a simple, hearty dish, the kind our families have always made to stretch a feast into another warm, comforting meal. Now I'm adding the purple cabbage to the leftover goose pieces. My husband even got curious about what I'm stitching over here. It's funny how cooking and crafting can share the same space. One keeps the hands busy, the other fills the air with warmth and smell. He's watching quietly now. Moments like this make the kitchen feel alive, not just a place for food, but for small, shared stories in our daily life. I'm laying out lettuce on the board, slicing red peppers, adding fresh herbs, and a little lemon, all for presenting the geese. My husband is taking out the geese, brushing them with sauce, and putting them back into the barrel oven to rest a little while. It helps the flavors meld and the skin stay perfectly glossy before the final serving. Meanwhile, the meat with cabbage and onions is ready. I'm plating it now. The colors, the aroma, everything looks so cozy and inviting, like the perfect comfort food after all the work in the kitchen. Our 2 geese are finally ready, so I'm transferring them onto this beautifully decorated board. Well, it's finally time to taste these geese. After all the preparation, the fire, the fruit stuffing, and the careful glazing, this is the moment everything comes together. Now I'm slicing the goose and arranging it on the plate with cabbage and meat. Golden, crispy skin, tender meat, and colorful sides, making the presentation as inviting as the flavors. Each bite is a mix of sweet, savory, and smoky flavors. The honey caramelized on the skin, the apples and quince soft and fragrant inside. Try it at home. Even a small portion of this ritual brings warmth and joy to your table. And don't forget to subscribe. There's more cooking, stories, and little family traditions coming your way. You don't want to miss it. Trust me, your taste buds will thank you. Today, we're baking giant cinnamon rolls in a Ukrainian mountain village, the old way, with fresh butter, cold air outside, and a brick oven that has fed families here for generations. Around here, baking is how love shows up on the table.
Доброго раночку, Морчик мій. Як вам спалося?
If you enjoy real village cooking and stories from a Ukrainian kitchen, don't forget to subscribe. Stay with us. There's always something warm in the oven.
А рукавичка вже тут, як тут. А рукавичка вже тут, як тут.
Our mornings here start the same way they did 100 years ago, with cows, cold hands, and warm steam rising into mountain air. In Ukrainian villages, milking wasn't just farm work. It was the backbone of the household. If there was milk, there was butter, cheese, sour cream. And that meant the family would eat, no matter how hard the year was. In old Ukrainian records, dairy was considered a sign of wealth and stability. Families with good cows were respected because milk meant survival through winter. Even during difficult times, people would hide a bit of butter or cheese as a quiet form of security, like a rural savings account, stored in a cellar instead of a bank.
Ой, ой, вау, а де впирається? А де впирається? А де впирається? Їм де давати їсти? Бо я у двох руках маю. Рукавичка.
It's funny, but cows were important far beyond Ukraine. In medieval Europe, royal kitchens depended on fresh milk and butter too. French and Austrian courts kept entire dairy farms just to supply butter for pastries and royal breakfasts. Butter was a luxury, a symbol of comfort and status. My husband is feeding the cows and horses now. In old Ukrainian households, a good cow was sometimes more valuable than land, because land without milk still meant hunger. Horses had a different kind of status. In Ukrainian history, especially among Cossacks, a horse was a symbol of honor and identity. A man without a horse was considered incomplete. I'm here straining the fresh milk through a sieve. This is one of those small, quiet rituals that never changed. Our grandmothers did it. Their grandmothers did it too. There's a quiet belief in villages that animals feel the energy of the house. If there is conflict, stress, or illness, cows may give less milk, and horses may become restless. Grandmothers used to say, "Talk kindly in the barn, and the milk will be kinder too." It sounds simple, but generations swore it was true. By now, my husband is lighting the stove. In Ukrainian homes, if the stove was warm, the house felt alive. No fire meant more than cold. It meant silence. Now we move on to making butter. In Ukrainian villages, butter was a sign that the house was alive and strong. If a family had butter, it meant there was milk, cows, and enough hands to turn cream into something golden. Butter on the table quietly said, "This home is standing." Long before mixers, women churned butter by hand, sometimes for an hour or more. It was heavy work, but also social time. Neighbors would come over, talk, laugh, share news, while arms did the work. In many Ukrainian regions, butter was prepared especially for holidays, weddings, and church feasts. You didn't waste butter on random days. It was saved for moments that mattered. A buttered piece of bread on a holiday morning felt richer than any dessert. There are old sayings that butter shows how well a household is run. If butter was pale or watery, people whispered. If it was thick and yellow, everyone knew. This woman knows her work. It was quiet respect, earned without words. Let's talk about this big wooden butter churn. This is the kind of tool that feels alive. People have been using butter churns for centuries, probably since butter itself became a household staple. In Ukraine, these butter churns were passed down generations, each with dents, scratches, and smells of countless batches of butter. The concept of churning cream into butter goes back thousands of years. Some say it began in Central Asia, traveled with nomads, and arrived in Eastern Europe. Wooden butter churns made it easier to separate cream consistently, and the rhythmic motion was almost meditative. People could talk, tell stories, or plan the day while making butter. I remember stories of butter being hidden during difficult times, not stolen, protected, wrapped in cloth, stored in the coldest place, saved for sickness, for guests, for moments when someone needed strength more than words. If you love these village stories, the smell of fresh butter, and kitchens full of history, make sure to subscribe. Don't miss the next warm moment from our kitchen. In some families, butter was even part of small village trade. A few jars of good butter could be exchanged for fabric, tools, or help. It was a quiet economy built on trust and taste. If your butter was good, people remembered your name. All right, let's have some tea with bread and butter. For Ukrainians, this isn't just a snack, it's a ritual. Bread is sacred, butter is precious, and together they tell a story of home, family, and the seasons. Ukrainians have been pairing bread and butter for centuries. In the past, bread was baked once or twice a week, and butter was made fresh daily. That combination gave families energy for hard work, long days in the fields, and winter evenings by the stove.
Ще тобі один кусочок. Два добре буде? А я тобі роблю два.
In history, bread with butter was offered to guests as the ultimate welcome. You didn't need fancy dishes, just fresh bread, creamy butter, and a cup of tea. That simple gesture meant you are seen, you are valued, you belong here.
Мені треба буде Мирослав таку дров на пічку. Будемо булочки пекти.
Now we move to making our giant cinnamon rolls. Cinnamon has been treasured for centuries, long before sugar became common. In medieval Europe, cinnamon was worth more than gold, carried by traders across oceans and deserts. Imagine the excitement when a family finally got a pinch of this spice. It wasn't just flavor, it was prestige, almost like wearing a crown at dinner. The earliest forms of cinnamon rolls appeared in Sweden in the 15th century, where bakers combined simple dough with cinnamon and sugar. Families baked them for special occasions, festivals, and church holidays. In small villages, the smell of cinnamon in the morning signaled warmth, celebration, and community. Right now, my husband is getting ready to crack and clean the nuts for our rolls. It's one of those little acts that feels like teamwork in the kitchen. He handles the hard shell, I handle the dough, and together we turn simple ingredients into something warm and comforting for the family. In royal kitchens, cinnamon rolls were sometimes considered a treat for queens and nobles. There are records of Swedish royalty serving buns with spices imported from the East Indies. These treats weren't casual. They were a statement. We have access, we have wealth, and we honor our guests. Interestingly, cinnamon rolls traveled across Europe, adapting to local traditions. In Germany, they were sweetened differently. In France, butter became the star. Each country put its own twist, but the magic stayed the same. Soft dough, sweet spice, and a smell that drew everyone to the kitchen. On a personal note, making these rolls today feels like touching history. I remember my grandmother rolling dough on a wooden table, hands dusted with flour, children trying to pinch cinnamon before she caught them. That aroma wasn't just dessert, it was life, curiosity, and love combined. In Ukraine, cinnamon rolls arrived later, but quickly became popular in cities and villages alike. Families would make them for holidays, birthdays, and Sunday breakfasts. Unlike bread, which was daily survival, these rolls were celebration in dough form. They were shared, photographed in memory, and sometimes even gifted to neighbors. If you're enjoying these cozy kitchen moments and the stories behind our food, don't forget to subscribe. Here, every recipe comes with a dash of history, family traditions, and a little bit of life, straight from our home to yours. Cinnamon itself has a story of adventure. Traders risked piracy, desert heat, and political wars to bring it to Europe. Every sprinkle in your dough echoes centuries of journeys, markets, and secrets hidden in wooden chests. When you roll it into your dough, you're holding a piece of that history in your hands. The Swedish kanelbulle eventually inspired giant versions in other countries. Bakers realized that if a simple cinnamon swirl could bring joy, a giant one could almost feel magical. The size didn't just make it more indulgent, it became a centerpiece, a way to gather people around a table and share more than food. There's a story of a German baker in the 1800s who tried to patent a cinnamon roll with extra cinnamon layers. He wanted recognition and fame. People laughed at him, but today, we take his idea for granted. Layers of sweet spice in soft dough, shared with family and friends. While I'm slicing the rolls, let's talk about their shape. The spiral form we see today didn't just appear randomly. It's centuries of baking evolution. Bakers discovered that rolling dough around cinnamon, sugar, or nuts creates a swirl that distributes flavor evenly in every bite. Rolling dough into a log and slicing it wasn't just aesthetic. In old bakeries, this method allowed multiple rolls to bake evenly in a crowded oven. Heat moved through the spiral in a way that kept the inside soft and the outside golden. A simple but genius trick. Some historians trace the idea of rolled pastries to medieval Europe, where layered doughs filled with spices were rolled for both convenience and presentation. Nobles loved it because it looked intricate without needing hours of shaping each piece individually. The spiral shape is also practical for home kitchens. You can prepare a long roll, cut as many portions as you need, and even freeze some slices for later. It's efficient, visually appealing, and perfect for sharing. Historically, rolled pastries also traveled well. Bakers and traders discovered that a rolled log could be sliced and packed for journeys without losing its structure. This meant cinnamon rolls could move from village to village, court to court, still intact. Rolling dough like this also adds texture. Each turn of the spiral gives layers that puff slightly, hold butter, and catch glaze. The result is a soft, tender interior with a slightly caramelized edge, an effect that wouldn't happen with flat or stacked dough. Now we're sending our rolls into the oven. It's that exciting moment when the dough, cinnamon, and butter come together under heat and start transforming. You can almost see the aroma rising before the crust even browns. The cream we use today for Cinnabon-style rolls was popularized in the United States in the late 1980s. The idea was simple. Add a rich cream cheese frosting to a sweet cinnamon roll to elevate it from a bakery treat to a signature dessert loved worldwide. Rich, creamy toppings actually have a long history. European bakers used buttercream in sweet glazes on buns and pastries since the 17th century. The goal was both flavor and presentation. Rolls with a shine, a little sweetness on top, and a texture contrast that makes each bite more satisfying. For me, spreading this cream is one of the most satisfying moments. The rolls are warm, the frosting soft, and the aroma of cinnamon, sugar, and butter mixes with the tang of cream cheese. It's like connecting with both old traditions and modern indulgence at the same time. All right, now it's finally time to sit down and taste this deliciousness. Just looking at these spirals, the glaze slowly melting over the warm rolls, we can't wait to take the first bite. Every layer holds history, care, and a little magic from our kitchen to yours. We encourage you to try making these at home. Don't worry about perfection. The joy is in rolling, sprinkling cinnamon, and creating something with your hands. If you enjoyed baking with us, the stories behind these rolls, and cozy kitchen moments, don't forget to subscribe. Join us for more recipes, family traditions, and little slices of history, straight from our home to yours.